following is intended only for mature audiences.
Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann, flying solo because my co-host Steiny is on vacation in Hawaii with his wife. And I'd like to chime in about the recent murder of 2 Burnsville police officers and 1 first responder EMS firefighter, and then the wounding of another officer. So what we have is a gentleman who had a criminal history and lost his ability to have guns. He applied to have it back in 2020. The rights were denied by a judge. I read today that he, through a series of unfortunate events, had custody of his kids, and then his on-again, off-again girlfriend, her kids there too, plus one that they had, were all in the home with them. If you don't know the story, domestic disturbance, police respond. Next thing you know, an unbelievable amount of shots are fired. I think they said upwards of 100 rifle rounds were fired. 2 Burnsville police officers killed, 1 firefighter EMS killed, and then another Burnsville police officer wounded, sent to the hospital, has since been released. So, senseless death of law enforcement officers that are just trying to protect the community that they serve. And this guy, who was not supposed to have guns, had a gun. And it came out that part of the gun, or the gun itself, was traced to a nearby firing range and gun shop. And somebody else who had the right to purchase the firearm got it for him and then gave it to him, or he obtained it from them. We haven't really heard much more about that yet. I'm really hoping they don't let this go. And this is kind of the point of the episode. Straw purchases, where you obtain a firearm for somebody else who shouldn't have it, and then you give it to them and they commit crimes with it. Unfortunately, there's no punishment for the shooter in this one because he killed himself. And in other stories, there's lots of people who just take the easy way out. They shoot cops and they shoot themselves. So what I'm saying is, or what I'm proposing is that we again, as a nation, need to tighten the belt on criminals, clamp down and stop fucking going easy and backpedaling and easing off the gas. If you give a gun or obtain illegal gun accessories off the internet to build one for someone else who shouldn't have one, or you yourself shouldn't have one. If you give these gun-making parts or a gun itself to someone who's lost a legal privilege and you're caught, you at least should lose your ability to legally own a firearm the rest of your life. If they use that gun to commit a violent crime and there's not an injury, then you should serve time for being an accomplice to that crime. In this instance, he killed 3 people, law enforcement, and a firefighter. Therefore, you should be killed yourself. 1 bullet, back of the head, that's what you get. We need to start holding people accountable who give guns to people that shouldn't have guns. Now, obviously, we can't hold Adam Lanza, the Sandy Hook shooter's mother, accountable because he fucking killed that bitch. I'm in no way a fan of people giving guns to kids that are on the spectrum. Even if you teach them to respect guns and use them properly and they're high functioning and they're barely autistic, we really got to stop giving guns to so many fucking people in this country. Now, another reason why this topic comes up again, a couple of weeks ago, I missed this. The parents that provided the gun to the gentleman who committed the 2021 Oxford High School shootings in Michigan, where he killed 4 people and wounded 7 others, they were being charged. Jennifer Crumbley's the mother of the shooter. She now has been convicted of involuntary manslaughter. And her husband is now awaiting trial next month. So coming up now in a couple of weeks. I gotta believe that he's also gonna be found guilty. But the thing for her was she was the last person seen with the gun. So that was kind of why they got her so easily. Anyways, my sources on that being both PBS and then this article in CNN, which also talks about other parents of similar instances, such as father of the July 4th mass shooter in Chicago's Highland Park, Illinois area, was accused of wrongdoing for signing his son's application for an Illinois firearm owner's identification card, months after his son displayed concerning behavior. The father ultimately pled guilty to misdemeanor reckless conduct charges, agreed to serve 60 days in jail. Similar vein, the mother of the 6-year-old boy who shot that Virginia teacher last year, the little boy who shot her through the hand as she tried to stop him, the school that didn't stop him from shooting her because they didn't take serious the threat that he had the gun in his backpack because it was close to the end of the day. Well, the state hit her with charges, and she pled guilty to child neglect and felony charges of unlawful use of a controlled substance while possessing a firearm and making a false statement while purchasing a firearm. I love to see people held accountable for these types of crimes. Because if you're not going to change the gun laws, you at least need to do something to deter the people that give the guns to the fucking idiots that perpetrate these crimes. Or you need to start really hammering home on the criminals that get caught with guns that have altered serial numbers. Like, why aren't we just killing them? Why send them to prison?
Why?
Why should they be a tax burden on everybody else? Pop them off. There's too many fucking people. A bunch of them are poor and live in the inner city. I don't want to hear your cries about how unfortunate their situation is in life. They chose to commit crimes, and they're fine with it. They're not like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. Like, what percentage of them are remorseful?
I don't know.
Very few. I'm willing to bet less than 2% of these people that are caught with guns that shouldn't have them have anything else to say besides fuck the police, and they just laugh it off. Then they go hang out in prison and work on their physique and play cards and just, fucking live off the feed bag of John Q. taxpayer. If you're a parent, you give your kid a gun, they commit a crime, you definitely should be in trouble too because you created the opportunity for this to happen. So now you're going to get punished? Sucks for you. You lose your ability to have guns for the rest of your life. I know people that have guns, that give guns to their kids. They take them to the range. They train them with their guns. They think they're doing the right thing, the responsible thing. You think that you're giving your kid a sense of appreciation for the magnitude of owning one of those and operating one of those and then the damage they can cause. But sometimes they don't. They just use it as an easy answer to some problem they have. Now, what happens if your kid turns around, fucking shoots somebody because he's being bullied? It's unfortunate that he's being bullied. Yes, that's wrong in and of itself. But going and shooting the person that's bullying you is not the answer. And then you gave him the gun because, let's be honest, you created the opportunity for your son to do this. It's almost predominantly men that are committing these crimes in these instances. It's the sons, not the fucking daughters. They might go pull each other's hair and swing each other around in the hallway, but it's mostly boys that are going on these shooting sprees. And frankly, it's mostly white males that are doing school shootings, so don't even fucking get me started with your, oh my God, you're targeting blacks, because we're fucking not. Parents, stop fucking giving your kids guns. Assholes that are too trusting, stop giving your friends and your family members guns. Because when they eventually commit a crime with them, you should be punished severely. So people will take these instances more seriously, and then it will then in turn, theoretically, deter future gun violence by people giving guns to those who shouldn't have them. Instead of these gun nuts crying, you can't do that to people, they have their 2A rights. Well, fuck you, because no matter how many responsible, well-trained gun owners we have in this country, there's an equal amount, if not more, of assholes that shouldn't have firearms that are committing these types of fucking crimes and killing innocent people and shattering families. I know you don't want to have to give up your rights or give up your guns, but frankly, there's too many guns in this country. We just need fewer guns. Most guns in the world, most gun violence in the world. There's just too many fucking firearms in this gun culture obsessed country. And obviously, they're trying to do what they can to not take away your guns by coming up with new and exciting ways to catch these people that shouldn't have them, like 5150s, which would be a 72-hour involuntary mental health hold, or red flag laws, of which are supposed to stop people that are deemed dangerous for having firearms or a threat to themselves or someone else. But it's not enough. It's just not doing enough. So in addition to eliminating more guns from getting into people's hands, we need to make sure the penalties are more stringent. People making straw purchases and then giving guns to individuals that they're friends with. Like, what do you think they're going to do with this? Just protect their home? Come on. You got to be smarter than that. If this is somebody that has previously committed crimes and lost their rights to own a firearm lawfully, why would you ever in a million years think, well, I'll just get him a gun because, I trust them and I think they're a good person deep down and they deserve the ability to defend themselves and their family, right? Like, I know human beings have free will and they can decide for themselves to go out and commit these crimes, but you're the one providing them with the opportunity. because you're the one supplying the weapon they use. So basically, let's say that you buy your kid a car and then they run somebody over with it. Well, you provided that. So to say that you helped cause it would be factual. It would be an indirect relation to the end result, but still, you put the gears in motion. So when you give someone a firearm they shouldn't have and they go out and they kill somebody, that should be on your conscience too, if you're a good person and you have your scruples about you. You're responsible, indirectly, for those deaths. Whoever gave this fucking guy in Burnsville, Shannon Gooden, this gun, needs to be punished to the harshest fucking extent. It is the only way we're going to discourage people from committing crimes, is to not come up with social programs to make them feel like better people, to try to influence them, or to have diversion programs so that they can serve a little bit of time and do some probationary requirements and keep it off their record. The punishment needs to exceed the crime so that it is so unbelievably damaging to your life and ability to fucking flourish afterwards that you would never, ever want to commit these crimes. Now, I know there would be plenty of people that are pro-gun that would hear this and say, you can't punish these people. They didn't know this was going to happen. If you know this person has a criminal history and can't get a gun on their own, you should pretty much be able to connect the fucking dots in your head. Criminals or mentally unstable people that have violent tendencies or have a personality that lends itself to a theory that they're going to hypothetically hurt other people with said firearm, you should think to yourself, I probably shouldn't give them a gun. And frankly, I find it abhorrent that in Minnesota itself, the person who provides the gun is only legally liable for 1 year beyond when it's given to that person. It should be if you give it to them and they use it ever. I know that may sound crazy to some, a far overreach of governmental oversight, but there just needs to be more accountability, and basically fear is a strong motivator of people to stay away from things. And just because I like to cite my sources, giffords.org/law center/law/trafficking-straw-purchasing-in-Minnesota / motherfuckers. A 1 year window and you're scot-free. Just think about that. 365 days, 366 because this year was a leap year. Just imagine like a day after that or a week after that or a month after that, and then they use that gun to commit a mass shooting and you should just get off scot-free. What fucking message is that sending to people? Like, as long as I do it and then we get past that calendar year, I'm in the clear, so you can't hold that one against me. And there are motherfuckers out there who would be more worried about getting caught than doing the right thing and not selling the gun, gifting the gun, providing the gun. Trust should not be automatic. You should be afraid of worst case scenario. And the laws that are in place right now do not do enough to instill in people a fear of losing everything strong enough that they're deterred from partaking in this type of behavior. We really got to send a message that this shit is not okay because of the people that are being harmed by those that are illegally obtaining these firearms from people that just hand them over or circumvent background checks. And the people out there that do this kind of shit, that's like a parent who has an unlocked liquor cabinet at home and then leaves for the weekend, and like their kid has a party with a bunch of friends and people get shit-faced and something happens, like somebody dies choking on vomit or drinks and drives and kills themselves or somebody else. Like you left alcohol in a home with irresponsible kids and they had access to it. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? Even if you just bought the bottle last week or if you bought it 5 years ago, you left it unlocked. You provided the opportunity for calamity to ensue. The same goddamn common sense principle needs to apply to people that are providing firearms to those that shouldn't have them or selling them to people that shouldn't have them under the table. As much as people want to harp on the right to gun access in this country, I gotta believe that the family members, friends, and co-workers, and just even the community members in Burnsville, anybody that knows or works with or is related to these officers and this firefighter that were killed, I'm going to have to think to myself that they're going to side with harsher punishments more than they're going to want people to have their guns per your interpretation of the Constitution. All it's going to take is one politician brave enough to make this shit happen, and then I think other states will follow suit. And all you really need to do is make an example of a few people a few times without the NRA trying to fucking fight their dumb little battle, and somebody suffers so bad that other people take notice. I just think about parents that spank their kids and send them to their room without dinner, That's the way you used to do it, right? Eventually, after so many nights of going to bed with an empty stomach and feeling like shit the next morning, I gotta believe that your kid's sass mouth would fucking work itself out and stop being a problem, right? Kind of like the parent that catches their kid smoking and then makes them smoke the entire pack right there so they feel so fucking sick they never want to do it again. That type of punishment, just like an example is set and then serves as a sobering threshold that deters people from partaking in this behavior going forward. Shock value. And frankly, I hate to keep beating a dead horse here, but God, if we had the death penalty, I gotta believe that it would fucking discourage people from committing crimes like these. You'd have a few, obviously, that would just be like, well, fuck it, I don't care, I'm gonna get killed anyway. And they'll go for it. But the majority, by and large, I have to believe, can connect the dots in their head and avoid these types of instances. There'll always be people that are too far gone, but if you do believe in your head that most people are inherently good, which I'm telling you they're fucking not, they at least have that survival mechanism built in to use logic to go, Jesus Christ, if I do this, they're going to hang me or give me the chair or put me down on my knees and one bullet to the back of the head, fucking gangland style, and that's it for me. We have to start thinning the herd. For the betterment of the entire population, we can only save this country by weeding out the garbage. Jail and prison and long bouts of probation are no longer discouraging people enough. To a great many of them who don't give a fuck, it's like a vacation. All for free on Uncle Sam's dime. We're not making them repay that shit. So why don't we, through our best efforts, all band together and tell the fucking bleeding heart liberals, no more. You've tried. You blue states that elect all these Democrats and these fucking prosecutors that are soft on crime. You are ruining this fucking country for everybody else that actually wants to be a beneficial member of society by making it so fucking unsafe. That's why we got to crack down and fucking give out super harsh penalties. Up to and very often including the death penalty. You may think it would mean that society is devolving, but in reality it would cause people's wits to sharpen because they would be sitting there nervous that they're going to get executed or locked up for life, so that they're going to fly straight. They're going to start to obey the rules. We're going to get rid of those people that don't respect authority, and those of us that do respect authority will have a sense of pride because our fucking nation will be taking care of itself and getting rid of the undesirables that just want to harm the rest of us and take advantage of those that they can get one over on. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It. That is at What Do We Call It. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann, and that's the end.